If you love Paul Harvey stories and the rest of the story, subscribe now. The pilot of the naval torpedo bomber knew that he should not have let that 20-year-old Army private on board. Now, both of them were going to die. The pilot's faulty judgment was understandable enough. The young private had been frantic, stuck in Seattle, his weekend pass running out fast. He would be AWOL if he couldn't fly immediately to Monterey and scramble back to Fort Ord before bed check. No, the private had explained he could not afford commercial airfare, but he had been advised that uniformed military personnel could hitch a ride on naval aircraft, provided there was room and extra seats. That's how he'd made it to Seattle to visit his girlfriend in the first place. But there were no seats aboard the torpedo bomber, the pilot had explained. The only available space was in the radar compartment in the tail of the plane, and the private would never fit in there. But the young man begged, and the pilot relented. They squeezed the former into the radar compartment, and they had taken off for the Naval Air Station at Monterey. Well, that was hours ago. They should have landed by now. But the coast of California was socked in fog, no way to find the airbase, no way even to stay aloft over land unless they wanted to knock the top off a mountain, or maybe run out of fuel and crash in a populated area. So the pilot headed out to sea. The torpedo bomber was about a mile from shore when the motor sputtered and died. The pilot brought her down as gently as possible amid the angry swells. After several bone-jarring jolts, the plane was dead in the water. Twilight was fast becoming night as the pilot and his young hitchhiker clambered out onto the wings of the plane. If they were anywhere near the craft when it sank, they could be sucked down with it. So the two wished each other good luck and dove into the churning Pacific. As night fell, the bioluminescence of tiny sea life set the ocean aglow. In the eerie blue light, the pilot could see the jellyfish swarming. First dozens and then hundreds, it seemed. He shouted to the young private, "Look out." But the answer was faint in the distance, barely distinguishable from the voice of nature roaring all around them. And then the pilot felt the searing sting of the first jellyfish. Soon he was engulfed by them in the glowing sea. Still most of a mile from land, he could only succumb to the poison in the waves, the irresistible forces that raged in the night. And thus he died. So this is a tribute to an unknown soldier. This is a tribute to a Navy pilot running low on fuel who headed out to sea rather than risk one civilian life. And if he is listening from wherever, sir, I want you to know the young private who hitched a ride on your last flight. The Army boy who so desperately wanted to get back to his own base did get back. He swam the torturous mile through turbulent seas teeming with poison tails and bathed in blue fire. He fought the overwhelming fatigue and the treacherous undertow. He walked barefoot 8 miles to safety and eventually onto motion picture screens all over the world, as Clint Eastwood.